actually look at dimensionality, okay, which is testing for the dimensions of the construct that are being captured by the items of the measure that we have. So essentially we gave a definition of our construct, okay. We theorized that our construct may have multiple dimensions, okay. And now what we are going to, we have written items also. So we have developed items that are specifically written for sub dimensions. We want to actually test, empirically test, whether the items that we have in our measure are actually uh, getting segregated as per the dimensionality we had thought of. So whether these items are capturing distinct dimensions that we conceptualize. So that is what we look at, and it is called as dimensionality testing is called as factor analysis. And the aim of factor analysis is to represent scores on a large set of measures, okay, the items that we have got, to actually categorize or classify or factorize under different factors. So we want to see which items load onto one factor, which are the items of our measure that load onto second factor, which are the items that load onto third factor, and so on. So that is what we are trying to do through factor analysis, right? And do these measured variables reflect a single underlying construct or different subsets representing distinct constructs or subdimensions of the. Now there are two kinds of factor analysis. One is called as an exploratory factor analysis, and the other one is called as a confirmatory factor analysis. Now, what is the distinction between exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis? This is a diagram that I have taken from the chapter again, Madhu Vishwanathan's. Exploratory factor analysis, you see, you do not make any a priori hypothesis or a priori judgment whether the item belongs to one factor or the second factor. So when we represent it, we say that item S1, observed item S1, loads onto factor I also, and it loads onto factor N. So this S1 is caused by I, is also caused by N. I am telling the tool that you estimate it and tell me which loading is higher, and I will go by what you say, and I will believe that if the loading of S1 on I is higher, I will believe that uh, S1 is an item representing I. If S1 S1's loading on N is high, I will believe that S1 is an item that belongs to N, or that is caused by N, right? So this is what we are trying to do here. We make no a priori hypothesis whether about these items they are loaded on both these factors, and we ask the tool, okay, we ask the tool to explore the factor structure and tell us what are the loadings, okay. Whereas in a confirmatory factor analysis, okay, in a confirmatory factor analysis, you see, we make a priori judgment. We are making a claim that S1, S2, S3 are items belonging to I, and S4, S5, S6 are items belonging to N. Okay, so we are making that a priori judgment. So everybody, please keep your mics on mute. Okay, please mute yourself. Some of you may have just joined, so please mute yourself. Okay, so this is the distinction between exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis. Yesterday, Arjun asked me a question that even if I am using a valid scale, the reviewers asked me to do confirmatory factor analysis. Well, that is right, because what happens is when you are picking up an already established scale or an already validated scale, what happens is you are using that scale. So you are using going by that factor structure that author may have reported in the research paper. Now, when you use those items, when you are using those items, what you've got to do in your sample, that is the data that you have collected, let's say the author in his or her paper had said that S1, S2, S3 belong to I and S4, S5, S6 belong to N, right? Now, because you are using these 6 items that have been given by that particular author, you have to prove in your sample that this factor analysis or this factor structure holds good in your sample as well. So you've got to do a confirmatory analysis. You will report the reliability. You will report alpha of S1, S2, S3 together. You will then report alpha of S4, S5, S6 together. And then you will also prove that S1, S2, S3 load onto I, S4, S5, S6 load onto N, and they are giving you a good fit with the data, right? Once you do that, you convince the reader that the factor structure represented by these items is good. Okay, so you just do a confirmatory analysis. Why do you do confirmatory analysis? Because you already have an a priori knowledge that S1, S2, S3 are items of I and S4, S5, S6 are items of N. You have that knowledge already with you, so you just do confirmatory analysis and report those results. Whereas when you are developing your own instrument, you are developing on an instrument grounded up, or you have mixed and matched multiple dimensions from different papers, you have added new items, substantially adapted, substantially modified existing scales, right? In all those cases, you first do exploratory factor analysis. Even though you know, even though you already qualitatively know that I have written S1, S2, S3 for I and S4, S5, S6 for N, you still need to check the factor structure and empirically show that the items are actually loading as I had theorized. Okay, so you had a theorization that S1, S2, S3 capture I, S4 to S6 capture N. Now you've got to empirically test that. Okay, so that is the difference between exploratory and confirmatory analysis.